In this political cartoon from 1793, the artist James Gillray shows William Pitt the Younger acting Prime Minister of Great Britain steering the good ship Constitution through narrow straits, bordered by a whirlpool on the right and dangerous rocks on the left. Seated in front of Pitt, the Lady Britannia, the female embodiment of the British nation, raises her arms in alarm over the dangers, which include sinister men pursuing the ship from behind. Since political cartoons use symbols liberally, a viewer will need a historical background to understand what the cartoon conveys to its viewers. A centripetal force on the right, a rocky outcrop on the left, these must symbolize political philosophies that threaten a constitutional republic and lure it into polarization. The sinister men pursuing the Constitution have to refer to William Pitt's rivals in the British Parliament. Most Americans know little about William Pitt the Younger, although they should. His fame influenced the direction of the nation in its early life. Probably 100 towns and cities bear some form of his name, the most famous being Pitt's father, William Pitt, 1st Earl of Chatham, came out early as a supporter of American independence, so his name also appears on the American landscape. Chatham County, Chatham, and other settlements. Pitt steers the good ship Constitution past dangers on the right and left. They occur as an unfortunate byproduct of Britain's parliamentary aegis, representative government being a necessary risk to a freedom-loving nation. The cartoonist James Gillray shows a sophisticated understanding of politics in Britain and, by extension, the United States. Journalists of his time could hold their own with their modern political counterparts. For the average American, understanding the components of the cartoon requires some education in the mythology of ancient Greece, in particular the ancient epic poems, the Iliad and the Odyssey by the Greek poet Homer, composed between the 8th and 6th centuries BC. They tell the story of the Greek warrior Odysseus, also known as Ulysses, returning to his home in Ithaca after the defeat of Troy. The perilous journey lasts 10 years. Most Americans do not realize how deeply the elements of the Iliad and the Odyssey permeate the nation's culture. Troy is the county seat of Rensselaer County. Troy is the county seat of Miami County. Troy is the county seat of Pike County. Ithaca, home of Cornell University, is the county seat of Tompkins County. Trojan is the traditional nickname of the athletes at University of Southern California. In modern speech, an Odyssey denotes a life-changing experience or journey. During his journey by sea to Ithaca, Odysseus and his crew encounter the sea monster Charybdis, seen in the political cartoon on the right. Charybdis lurks under the surface of the water and creates a whirlpool that pulls down ships and sailors to their doom. Charybdis shares the narrow strait with another monster, Scylla, who inhabits the rocky outcrop on the left. Scylla's shark dogs also harass ships and mariners, shown as the sinister men pursuing the Constitution. In the late 18th century, the educated class in Great Britain would have needed no primer to help them understand the importance of James Gillray's cartoon. First of all, they would have recognized at once William Pitt the Younger's distinctive profile as the helmsman of the good ship Constitution, and they would have recognized his pursuers, Charles James Fox, Richard Brinsley Sheridan, and Joseph Priestley, as rivals of Pitt. Britons also would have recognized the Phrygian cap on top of the rocky outcrop as the emblem of the French Revolution and the pure, vengeful democracy that the Revolution unleashed. Pitt's rivals in Parliament, Fox, Sheridan, and Priestley, supported the Revolution. No wonder they look so ravenous. One contemporary critic of the French Revolution, Jacques Mallet Dupin, wrote, "A revolution devours its children." The revolutionists in France launched a democratic rebellion against class privilege and wealth. The degree of payback caused the executions of thousands. Vengeful French citizens egged on the executioners, and they never tired of murdering basically innocent people on the guillotine. Each day, Parisians crowded Revolution Square, now named Place de la Concorde, to enjoy more executions. Pitt knew he could not allow the nation to drift toward such vindictive leadership. Curiously, Thomas Jefferson supported the revolution and said, "A little revolution is a good thing." No wonder Britannia looks worried. Fox, Sheridan, and Priestley look ravenous in the cartoon, wishing they could have a little revolution by overturning the Constitution and devouring its passengers. On the right side of the cartoon, a whirlpool threatens to drag the Constitution under. If the reader looks closely, he can make out a whirling crown causing the whirlpool. Contemporary Britons would have recognized the crown as the symbol of monarchical rule and authoritarian leadership. Many Britons turned to the monarchy for security during turbulent times. Although the whirlpool draws the Constitution toward it, the helmsman Pitt knows that a modern, forward-looking society must resist it and defeat its supporters. One cannot miss Pitt's noble, unruffled expression as he navigates the dangerous straits, nor the artist Gillray's positive assessment of him. Historians consider him one of the most important prime ministers in the history of Great Britain, even though the position of prime minister did not formally exist in his day. Pitt more or less created the position by showing everyone how to carry out its duties. He supported Adam Smith's ideas for a market-driven economy. He saw the value of John Locke's ideas for representative government, an elected parliament, an upwardly mobile society, and a legal system based on constitutional law. And finally, as Chancellor of the Exchequer, he understood the budgetary limits of governmental expenditures and the need to provide for them through proper banking. Americans on the other side of the ocean learned from Pitt as well. Pitt described the English Constitution as that beautiful frame of government in which the people had a share in the government by the means of representation. Yet Pitt never stood for an election, so he had no constituency. He did not represent a political party and answered to no one but George III, who recognized his great skill and therefore turned over leadership of the nation to him. His cold, reserved, patrician nature made him almost invisible to the wider public. In a modern, publicity-driven nation like the United States, Pitt would likely have had difficulty getting his points across. Nevertheless, his intellectual legacy continues as one of the foundations of America's forward-looking ideas and economic growth.